Hello, this is Mary with Mango Math, and I'm here with Millie to give a lesson tutorial out of our sports and math kit. Track, the sport in which athletes are running around an oval and different distances that they follow. But in all cases, runners often keep track of their distance based on how far they run in a fractional amount of that track. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is looking at fractions, and in particular equivalent fractions, and being able to add fractions up. So it starts with each player, and they can be in teams of 2, having 8 pawns each. And that means they're trying to get 8 pawns all the way around the track to the finish line, from the start line to the finish line. So to do that, they're going to roll a double-sided dice. The outside, or the top number, is going to be your numerator, and the inside, or the bottom number, is going to be your denominator. So in this case, I rolled 2/3. And I then get to move my pawn, let's say I start with the blue, to a fraction that is equivalent to 2/3, because I don't have thirds on here. I do have 6/9. So I can place my pawn at 6/9. Now it's the other team's turn to go. Let's say they rolled a 3/7. I don't have anything on here that's equivalent to 7ths. So in this case, what they get to do if they roll a 7 is they get to swap out their piece for my piece, and my piece comes back. And I still have to add that on there, and they are now on the board. Let's say on another roll, I roll a 6/5. Now this is an improper fraction, so it is equivalent to 1 1/5. Because I had the 1, that means I get to, and I'm the yellow player, I get to move one player all around the board, and he's finished. So he's now finished. I'm going to set him down here, and I scored 1 point with him. And then the next pawn goes 1/5, but I don't have a 5th on here, so I know that 1/5 is equivalent to 2/10. So my marker goes on the 2/10. If a student rolls a 1, and they could have any number as a top number, let's say it's 7. I'm not going to have them have 7 that come in to gain points. They only get to take one pawn and move them all the way around. So in this case, they are going to take one pawn, and let's say this is the blue teams. They get to move all the way around, and they score a point. Because I'm doing that because I could have 12 up here and the game's over. So if you roll a 1 as your denominator, that means you just gain 1 point. If I roll 11 as a denominator, I take any pawn off, and I have to now try to get that pawn back on. So the object of the game, once again, is to try to get all your pawns around the board. I could also, if I rolled my next turn up, let's say I'm the yellow team, and I have 1 on 2/10. If I rolled, let's say I rolled a 3/12, I can put another pawn on the board in the 12th place. So now I have 2 pawns on the board, 1 at 2/10 and 1 at 2/12, and I'm moving them both around the board. One, if I can move the 10ths by rolling anything that's a 10 or a 5, or I could do 12ths and reduce that number to anything that's 2, 3, or 4, or 6. So the students have to quickly be able to realize what numbers are equivalent, and then also be able to add on numbers with different denominators, but come up with a common denominator in order to move around that fractional amount. So there's a lot of fractional thinking in this. So take your time and enjoy the game.